The Braxtons Fallout, what no one tells you about Tamar in 2025. Hi everybody, I wanted to jump on here really quickly and talk about what happened to the Braxtons on Friday, okay? I wanted to come on this weekend and talk about it, but I got a strict rule for myself now, and that's putting me first. I have to have my days off or I just get burned out. So, I almost came on this weekend to talk about it, but I didn't. I had to put me first. But what we saw Friday was a damn shame. Okay, they made complete fools out of themselves. Their family structure is way more broken than what we know. And let me tell you something. I've been covering the Braxtons for 8 years. I've talked to all of them at one time or another. My goal is to not come on here and humiliate and drag, but they put their business on national television. In fact, they get paid to put their business on national television. So as a blogger, I have to critique what I saw. And the pain that I saw and the humiliation and the gaslighting that I saw Friday on the Braxtons is something that I see in my own family. So I'm not judging them. I don't think I'm better than them. I just think they need help. Because what we saw on Friday is not a one-person problem. The entire family has a problem. And just like every other family, if there's a problem in the family and that problem doesn't get resolved, it gets handed down to the next generation. And if nobody's strong enough to stand up and fix the problem, then it goes down to the next generation. And that's what's happening here on the Braxtons. Prime example, my great-grandmother was a drug addict and an alcoholic. She didn't do anything about it. It got handed down to the next generation. My grandmother's generation, who, by the way, she had 13 children. Nobody did anything about that. It got handed down. And it just goes down and down in my family. And I feel like if I can point that out in my own family, then I could point it out in the Braxtons without anyone getting upset about it. And what I feel is the generational curse, that's what I'm going to call it, of the Braxton is molestation, being touched. I feel like in the Braxtons is definitely a part of Miss E's generation. And that's just my opinion on the situation, and I have a right to my opinion. I believe Miss V is a victim of being touched. And if you think black people don't talk about their problems now in this generation, go back to Miss E's generation, okay? She's from the South. She's from South Carolina. She's 77 years old, okay? And black people, there's no such thing as therapy for us. It takes a act of Congress to get us to go to therapy. But back then, it was accepted. She's from South Carolina. There's a lot of Africans from South Carolina that belong to what they call the Geechee tribe. And if you ask me, Sharrell, what the hell do you know about the Geechee tribe? The Geechee tribe out of South Carolina is Perry's ancestry. And let me tell you something, those 70-somethings now is in the same generation as Perry's father. And life was so different back then. It really, really was. And a lot of black people back then were living foul because they adopted the ways of white slave masters during the slavery years. And somehow black people back then managed to do to themselves what the white masters were doing to them. So back then, if during slavery, if the white master caught you doing something bad, he would take you out, hang you from a tree, and whip you. And somehow black people handled this down in their generation. Everybody knows what I'm talking about from my generation is when you do something bad, your parents made you go outside, pick a switch off the tree, a switch, okay, make you pick your own weapon of choice, and then you come back and you give them the switch or you give them the extension cord, and what would happen? You would get the beating of your life, emulating what the white people did to them. Another thing that happened in slavery, if the white master was actually attracted to you, he would come in and take it. There was no choice in the matter. Our black women were being honored whenever he felt like it, and sometimes it was on a daily basis. And a lot of black men inherited this barbaric behavior from the white slave master. So back then, if you got touched, it was like, oh, he's just being a man, or don't think too much into that. That's just what they do. And that's what I think happened to Miss E. I think she lived a secretive life. That was her secret. I think she didn't tell anybody. Damn, therapy. She probably lived with this burden, this extra added burden on her back, and it became normal. So you don't talk about it to anybody. You go to church all the time, but what people don't understand about church is church does not heal you. Church tells you the rules of whatever religion you're practicing. And to make matters worse, sometimes the preacher themselves have more problems than you ever dreamed about having. I mean, to just follow a preacher blindly would be foolish. I mean, just look at Michael Sr., who was the preacher of the church. Miss E said herself that he would lay it low and spread it wide. He up there banging the water girl and, Pastor so-and-so and everybody in the choir. I'm trying to tell you, preachers are not perfect. So because she didn't heal herself, she passed down this generational curse. And let me tell you, I really do believe at one time in his life, I believe Mikey was a victim / turned predator. And you could not believe me all day. This is what I feel. This is what I see. And I'm entitled to that. That's why I laugh it off every time they threaten to sue me. No. First of all, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And I know that I'm entitled to my opinion. Mikey is a monster, if you ask me. And not only that, I believe he touched his children, Lauren and Ashley. And there's nothing anybody can say that can change my mind. I'm entitled to my opinion. Therefore, if I'm correct, in the Braxton household, we have now affected another generation. Also, I believe that it affected her children, Miss E's children, in different ways. I believe at some point in her life, Trina became attracted to the lifestyle, meaning it became normal for her. So if I'm being touched, and Ashley's being touched. Well, I'm going to say she's making a big deal out of nothing because that's what all men do. I believe that Gabe was a predator. And so when Ashley told her about Gabe, Trina became a runner because to some degree, she's attracted to the lifestyle. She has accepted that lifestyle. So whenever this subject comes up, and when you have been touched, the subject comes up every so often. It comes out because you have to deal with it. But Trina doesn't deal with it. She runs from it. And she re-victimizes victims because she wants everyone to think that that's normal because that's what she thinks in her head. So when Ashley goes to her, Trina doesn't have the skills to help you. She just doesn't. And do you remember at some point on the show, I think it was on Braxton Family Values, she was talking about giving someone an oral transaction. It was so uncomfortable to watch. It was like I was squirming all over the place. But in her mind, it was no big deal. She said it in front of her mother. Yeah, I gave him an oral transaction, and she thought it was funny. She's proud of it. Now let's move on to Toni Braxton. Toni Braxton is the most lucky of them all because she became famous, right? So she was loved wherever she went. The public loved her. And she could kind of separate herself when she needed to from this toxic family. But she's no better than the rest of them. Just because you want to protect your mother, you want to protect your family secret, doesn't mean you're not screwed up also yourself. And her behavior on Friday showed exactly how screwed up she really is. At first I thought, well, she's just protecting her mother. Okay, and I might do the same thing. Also, she's famous. She doesn't want everybody in her business. She don't want us to look at them as the family of toxicity. And I rode with that. I liked Toni for a long time until this weekend when she showed how she's a willing participant in tearing down Tamar Braxton. Because y'all know in this episode, they all banded together against Tamar, who was talking healing, who was talking, I have my own demons that I mess with, that I deal with. I also believe Ashley, and I think she should have a platform to talk about her hurt and pain. But they weren't trying to heal that. And at this point in their lives, they're all almost in their 50s. I think Tamar's damn near in her 50s. I believe she said she's 48 years old. So now they've got the burden of being touched, right? But they gotta keep it a secret because they're all dealing with it differently in their different way. It's much easier for Toni Braxton to say something's wrong with Tamar than to say there's something wrong with me. I also feel with Toni Braxton that jealousy has crept into this situation. She is jealous of Tamar. Now, hear me out. When you're an entertainer, your biggest goal in life is to be recognized. You chase the fame. They love it, right? They love all the accomplishments. But just like everybody else, Toni Braxton's not the only person to get old. This is why the phrase was created, out with the old, in with the new. Because you only get a shelf life, okay? Right now, if I asked my son, this is the same son that said he didn't know that Janet Jackson had a brother. The new generation knows nothing about Toni Braxton, period. Even though she was a legend in her day, but her day has come and passed. And just a lot of entertainers have a very hard time accepting that. I'm trying to tell y'all, Friday, when they were all trying to tear down Tamar and talk about how messed up she is, Toni Braxton is jealous of what Tamar has become. Listen, Tamar can team up with Krishan, and that whole audience will accept Tamar. For whatever her reasons are, she has a much younger fan base. And Toni knows this. So Toni was like, I'm going to protect my mom to the fullest. I'm going to protect the family secret. And then I'm going to bring Tamar down a couple notches because she's too big for her britches. Now let's talk about Towanda Braxton, the most toxic of them all. She truly is a hateful person. Okay, this is not being mean to her. We've seen her talk to many therapists on TV. She is the most insecure. She's insecure about her looks. Listen, let's just be real if we're going to diagnose what happened on Friday. Out of all the Braxton sisters, I'm sorry to say this, but Towanda's just not attractive. And not only do you have these attractive sisters, they're beautiful. Miss E, beautiful. Not Towanda. Now, am I going to be the only person to tell the damn truth? She's not attractive. Let's just take Trina. Trina is running around town having a nervous breakdown. She looks like a bloated basketball. Sometimes she looks homeless when she puts those stupid glasses on. And she's just running. She's so busy running, trying to not be Trina. But if you take what she used to look like, she was very pretty. She was very pretty. But her mental health is destroying her looks. And if you want to get real, I believe from the bottom of my heart, Trina's a pill popper and a drunk. But anyway, let's go back to Towanda. So Towanda deals with a lot of feelings of inadequacy on top of the family secret, okay? And when she feels extremely inadequate, she lashes out. She does things to really hurt people. And then when she sees that you're hurt about it, she sits in a corner and laughs about it. She's very twisted. She lacks empathy for others. And I would compare her behavior to someone like maybe a serial killer. You know how Ted Bundy was upset with his girlfriend, but he took it out on other women and he became a serial killer. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like her biggest dream in life was to be a beautiful, singer. That's what she wanted for herself. We all have hopes and dreams and things that we want to do in life. But when it's no way possible that's going to happen, at some point you have to let go of the dream. Not Towanda. She gets infuriated and then she lashes out and she does things to hurt people. And for the last couple years, Tamar Braxton has been her biggest target. And the bottom line is, how dare Tamar come on the Braxton family values and be the breakout star that was supposed to be me? Because I've been idolizing Tamar for years. I've been idolizing Toni for years. And probably Christina Aguilera and anybody else that can sing. And last night, on Friday night, was her biggest opportunity in her head to expose Tamar for the villain that she is. And now you guys see I'm the talented one. She is twisted. She is sick. But it backfired because I don't think not one person that watched that show walked away calling Tamar the villain. We walked away saying, damn, those Braxton sisters, Toni included, are really, really sick. And by the way, I have stories to support why I feel the way that I feel. You think that last night was the worst of the Braxtons? There are so many stories that they're hiding. It's not even funny. Also, I wanted to say really quickly that Tamar, I support you. This is Team Tamar over here. But if you're going to be the one to stand up and break the family chain, you have to know what that comes with. A lot of resistance from them. And with Towanda being a hateful person, she's going to be trying to make you look bad, probably for the rest of your life and her life. There's no love there. So I see you trying to get better. I see you have a therapist. I see you supporting Ashley. It's not going to be easy. And it may get to a point where you have to cut them off, period, because they no longer are support or help in your life. And if you want to heal yourself, you've got to get away from them. I'll go more into detail about Tamar when I come back live with Perry. I just wanted to give my true, honest opinions, how I felt, and the reason why I'm doing the things that I do. Like, I've been knowing y'all for 8 years, and you won't believe it, but I know most of your most hidden secrets. And I don't want to do you like that. But eventually these stories have to come out. Eventually. They just do. But in small doses. That's why I don't want to make these videos too long. You know, small doses. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. What did you think of Friday's episode? And what do you think about my opinion on these people? And I will see you in a couple hours. I will be back with Perry, who also has lots of opinions. And he's claiming he's not afraid to spill the beans. I hope he doesn't, but you know how Perry is. Let me know your thoughts. Talk to you guys next time. Bye for now.